No? Crystal's like, I haven't. Okay. I got a couple of views the other day. That's all right. We'll slowly but surely get some views on YouTube. Okay. So this is our goal today. This is what we're going to try and get to, is this nice complicated spreadsheet with an amortization schedule. You might say, well, what are we starting off as a template? And I'll show you. Just open up Excel. You go to the New tab. And then you say blank. So we're going to start from scratch. I like that. We're going to be covering financial functions, data tables, and amortization schedules today in this class. Now why? Why would we want to do this? Where's George? We need George in here today. He's in vacation. Oh yeah, he was going to be gone. So George was just saying yesterday, or the day before, how he had made up a spreadsheet for his work and he brought it to his boss and his boss wasn't thrilled. I'm going to show you a really cool trick by the end of today that you can actually hand out a document if you're at work and you're doing commission structures like George has, where you can lock everything in the table except for a few things that they can type in, and then it fixes everything. Like, it'll just calculate everything out, but you know, people can't get in and screw up the whole table that you've built. So that's pretty awesome, and it's going to be part of this amortization schedule. A lot of times we just want to do projections. Once again, I love how the book brings it in. They're like, look, someone brings you a piece of paper that has a drawing of what they want it to look like. No, that's not ever going to happen. Someone's going to come to you and say, look, I need to get an amortization schedule. I'd like to have an interest table. I'd like to have the basic financial tools section of it. And you're like, okay, great. I'm going to go work on it. And then it's up to us. And I'm going to argue that the design that they have here isn't perfect. Okay, this isn't what we should say is perfection, but it is what they've done, and it works, okay? And I think a lot of times a working spreadsheet is much better than a pretty undone spreadsheet. So we always want to make a functional spreadsheet before we go anywhere else. So we're going to start on page 188. Up at the top left, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see my screen just a little bit. In A1, we want to run Excel, and then the first thing before we type anything, we want to go into page layout. And if you don't have Office 365 yet, this isn't going to be here, I don't think, but go down to themes. Just pick a different theme if that's the case. But we're going to use the integral theme. Integral. Sorry, I just clicked it really fast, so everybody's probably wondering which one it was. It's right here. This is what it looks like. If you don't have integral, just pick something blue. All right. Now we're going to skip a couple lines this time for the first time ever. We'll come back to why we're going to do that in a minute, but we're going to start on C3, not on A1. And in C3, we want to type in the mortgage payment calculator as the title. And we're going to learn a new feature today. In the Home tab, whoops, thank you, Cortana. In the Home tab, I want to select C3 through F3. So I'm going to hold my Shift key down and go over with my right arrow. So I've highlighted everything. And we're going to do this little thing called merge and center up in the top middle. What this does is it merges all these cells into one cell, and then it centers everything inside of it. It's going to make it nice and pretty for us in the future. It's a great thing. So merge and center. Has everybody merged and centered? No. I knew I should ask because it's going to get a lot faster than that. So if you said no, the cops are on their way to get you right now, as we can hear by the sirens outside. Is it not working, John?
I got it.
You got it? Everybody else got it? All right. No? Okay. I knew I was waiting for one more. I was like, I felt it in the room. It's instruction 1 today. Yeah, so you've got to highlight everything first. Whoops. There we go. Hold on, let's see this. Whoops. Where are we? Did you? Oh, you started. You're copying over your old book. I'm glad I did that. Let's click New. Let's go down to C3 and now type in that mortgage. What did you say? Yeah. And then you have to make sure before you do a merge and center, you have to get out of the cell and then highlight the cell and come back into it. Are we You doing okay over here? Yeah. You like Excel? Here, got to hit enter to get out of it, and then you're going to highlight over there, and then hit merge and center. Okay. We're just at the beginning of all this. You know what I'm going to ask starting next week? Who has done their homework already for this week and did it well? Nobody? No, your chapter 3 homework. Yeah. Oh, I was like, what? I'm going to go put a bunch of zeros in tonight. So, done your chapter 3 homework. High hand raise. Okay. And do you feel like you've got the information okay for chapter 3? Okay. But pretty good? Yeah. Okay. So, if you are struggling, I would recommend next week we reshuffle so that we have a struggling person next to somebody who's got it. Because it's going to make the whole class go faster. If you have somebody that's like a study buddy next to you, that I don't have to go around and answer everything. Yes, Amy?
I think I got everything right, but it took me like 3 hours.
That's good. It takes us time to get it. But I'm saying at least you are familiar where things are. So I'm saying starting next Tuesday, I'm probably going to say you go here, you go here, you go here. So we just have a little more continuity in the classroom, and I don't have to walk to the back row or the middle of the row or something like that. All right, so we've got mortgage payment calculator. We're going to go ahead and we're going to type in, starting at the top of 189, all the different things that we have here. So we first have in C4, we have date. In C5, we have item, then price, then down payment. And then we have loan amount. We scoot over to E4, Echo 4, and we have rate, term, monthly payment, total interest, and finally total cost. Now we're going to type in the numbers. I'm just kidding. I know you guys are still following. And what we're going to do is in this section, we're going to type in some of these things that we're going to use in the future as we do this. And this is going to be kind of our base station for what we're doing for all of our calculations. All right. Next, I want to make this look pretty. And yesterday we were changing the font color, changing the font size. Today I'm going to say forget that. Today we're going to go up into this one, cell styles. So be selected on mortgage payment calculator, go up to cell styles, and I'm just going to select title. And it's going to automatically format that to make it look different. So I like that. Okay, so it looks pretty. What did you say to me? Okay. Now we're going to go over and select A and B, the top. We're going to go up to the A and click and drag over to the B. And we're going to shrink these two down to 0.92 width. So I'm going to shrink those till they go to 0.92 width. And then they're both going to shrink and they're going to, jump it over to the left there. Because I had them both highlighted. It does it to both of them. It might not do that on yours, Anthony, because you have a Mac. I can't remember. So you might have to do each one. What'd you say? Shrink it to 0.92. 0.91 is fine on the Mac. But if we wanted to be exactly 0.92, what would we do? We would just highlight them, right mouse click, say column width, and we could type in 0.92 and get there just the same. Okay, in the date section, we're going to go ahead and use what function for today? Who remembers from yesterday? Now. So how do we do that, Mr. Spriggs? Parentheses and parentheses. Now this is on the test. This is on your certification. And the thing a lot of people mess up is they put equals now, enter, and it comes up, that doesn't work. You've got to put the parentheses, okay? Because that's the function part. Okay, so good. It comes up. We want to reformat this date because we don't want the time on it. We just want the date. And the book is asking us to do it where we have the day first, the abbreviation of the month, and then the year, 4 digits. So we're going to go ahead and go up to custom format. Up there in the number format. We're going to go down to date. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. And here it is. The 2-digit day, the abbreviation for the month, and the year. I'm sorry. You go drop down, custom, or more number formats, excuse me, and then go to date. And then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of that, and you should see that 14-October-2012. In this next section, we're going to type in here, this is what are we buying? Okay, this is a mortgage calculator. We're going to buy a house, so we're just going to type that in. I'm going to right justify that, which is this button under alignment. So it's going to go all the way over to the right. So justification just gives it an anchor to which side of the cell it's going to be on. The price, now this is given to us in the book. So I'm just reading things that's giving to us in the book. I don't want you to think I'm making all this up or it's something in my head. It's $429,000. And the down payment is $85,000. And the rate is term is 15 years. The rate is 0.04125 because it's a percentage. Now this is our loan data, so we want to format it properly. So the first thing we're going to do is go up here. This is a percentage, so I'm going to click percent, and it says 4%, but I want to go 3 digits out so I can see the actual loan percentage. That's pretty typical in the loan world. And then down here on price and down payment, we're going to make this a currency one. Currency. I'm just going to click currency, and I'm going to leave it with the 2 digits at the end, so the 2 decimal points. So I just switched it to currency. The percent, you just click on the percent, and then you bring out the decimal place 3 spots. Right here, this is the button. Decimal. So the decimal is right there. So if you just tap it 3 times, it'll bring it out 3 spots. If you go too far, push the one just to the right, and it'll bring it back. Okay, now I'm going to blow everybody's mind, and I know we're moving fast, but we can actually, instead of calling something A1, because we don't all want steak sauce, or C3, I thought that was a good joke, but nobody laughed. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, we can actually name different things, different cells, certain names. So we're going to do that right now, and we're going to do that by highlighting from price to loan amount. We're going to highlight this section right here. And I want you to highlight C6 through D8. Now what I'd like to do for the remaining part of this is instead of saying every time I want to refer to the price of the house or the down payment, I would like to not have to put D6 and D7. I would like to put price and down payment in my formulas. That would be actually pretty cool if I could do that. And I can, because I can name these cells that, and I can actually automatically name it whatever's on the left. So that's what we're about to do here. So that's why I've highlighted both of them. I'm going to go into formulas, and right into the top here it says define name. We actually want to take this create from selection. So we're going to create from selection. And when it says create names from a selection, where do I want to go? I want it to take it from the left. So we can do this with a top row, a bottom row, all those kinds of things. I'm going to make sure left column is selected. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to highlight all of these from E4 to F8. And I'm going to create from a selection, everything on the left row. And you're like, okay, Mr. Greer, what did we just do? And I'm going to show you. Over here in the top left, this is your name box. We can drop this down. And now, instead of just having letters and numbers in here, it has term, rate, price. We can go to any of those very quickly in the name box. So if I hit rate, it takes me straight to the rate. So I have shortcuts now built into my spreadsheet where I can go very quickly identify, oh, wait, I want to see what the price was. And I could be all the way down at the bottom right of the spreadsheet. What's the price of this house? I click it and it will take me right to that cell. So instead of saying D6, I can now call this price. Now the cool part is because the computer knows that that's now called price, if I wanted to calculate price minus down payment like I want to in loan amount, let's go ahead and do that. I could say, we could do this two ways, Noelle. I could say equals this minus this, right? I could just say the top one minus the bottom one. Is that all right? But instead I'm going to say equals price. And notice it gives me a list. I'm going to select this second one because this is a name tag descriptor right here. Minus down payment. And as I type in down, a name tag selector comes up, down payment. And it shows me that I've actually done those two cells. So blue's price, red is down payment. I've hit enter. And it did the calculation for me. Does that blow anybody's mind? It didn't work for you? Did you define your names right? Yeah. Did you select the name selectors when you were typing in the formula? And it didn't work. All right, here comes the proof in the pudding. Let me see here. Equals name. So equals price minus down payment. There you go. Yep. You just got to double click on them as you're typing them in. If you type them in perfectly, it usually works, but I recommend just double clicking on them. This is more like, this is a very complex thing that you would do for huge spreadsheets. We're learning it fairly early in the process, but you might have to define names on your certification exam. So you want to know that this is a function that we can do, like something that we can actually do in the thing. Now, if it were me, that took us a long time, right? And I'm teaching you how to do it. I'd probably just do, D6 minus D7. That's super easy, but we're learning how to do these features as we go. Because this is a pretty easy one. But if we were doing this same thing on, like AAA 2006, which we could do in a cell all the way down here to the bottom right, instead of going all the way up to the top or whatever, it might be easier just put equals price minus down payment. So we can make huge spreadsheets. We can do just monstrous things. And a lot of times people are like, well, nobody would ever make a spreadsheet that big. Yeah, we do. and it's actually pretty common. I'm going to take this cell right here. How are we going to make this cell look like this one? Quicker than going up and doing the formatting. Does anybody remember from yesterday? How are we going to make loan amount look like down payment? What? Can't drag, because that'll copy everything in. Starts with an F, ends in an format painter. Format painter, good job. That's awesome. Where did you get that one? Right here. We can just click format painter and then click on this one and ta-da, it makes it look exactly the same. So format painter, whatever we want it to look like, we're gonna be on that and we're gonna click format painter and whatever we touch next is gonna be made to look exactly like that. So I was here. Let me Control Z it so we see it. I'm here, I'm here, and I say format painter, and then I click on whatever I want, and poof, it's the right way. Good. All right, let's look at monthly payment. We did that. I'm switching over. Okay, payment. Now, payment is a very complicated formula, okay? We're going to type it in because what we're going to do is experience doing a formula without a wizard. We're just going to be using the commas and giving it what it needs. Now, payment on its definition means I've made a payment, okay? So in financial terms, it's a negative number. So what we're going to do is to not show it as a negative number, we're going to start the entire equation off with a minus in front of it. If we negative a negative, what does it do? Becomes positive. So instead of being a negative in front of it or having brackets, the only reason we're starting off this formula with a negative is to show it in the positive value that it is. Like this is your monthly payment. You don't want to see it. If you got a bill from AT&T and it said you owe negative $300 this month, are you going to pay it? No, but if you get a bill that says you owe $300 this month, you're going to do it. Well, they calculated it, probably not in Excel. They have billing software, I'm sure. But if they did use payment as the function, it would come out as negative 300. Well, you don't want your customer to think that. You want your customer to see the actual amount they're supposed to pay. So we're doing it in the same type of format right here with that. So let's go ahead and say equals negative. And we're going to do PMT, which is payment. We put in our parentheses, and it says what we want is our rate, our number of payments, our present value, our future value, and our type. I don't think we're going to do these two, okay? We're going to do our rate, our number of payments, and our present value. We're doing a mortgage calculator. How many years is this mortgage? 15. How many payments do they make a year? 12. So this number is actually not a good number for us to do a payment based off of, because if we use this as the number of payments, it's going to be wrong. So what could we do very quickly with math in a formula maybe to make it right? Times 12. Yeah, we can just multiply this number by times 12 or divide it. Yeah, so we're gonna figure this out. We could figure out the actual payment and then divide it by 12 if we needed to. If there was one big payment every year, there's a bunch of different ways that we could do that. The book is going to show us to do the rate. First, what we're going to do is we're going to take this rate, which is this is a yearly rate. So we're going to type in rate because there it is. We're going to divide that by 12 because we need to make 12 payments. Okay, this is a yearly thing. We're going to hit comma. And now what we want to do is we want to do 12 times. What's the name of the 15? Term. There it is. So it highlighted it. Perfect. I said 12 times term. That's great. And then we're going to say comma. And then we want to get our loan amount. So I'm just going to go ahead and say loan amount. I can just double tap on that one. Close this parentheses up. And what's going to happen when I hit enter? So now I have equals, negative, payment, parentheses, rate divided by 12, comma, 12 times term, 12 payments per year, comma, loan amount, which is down here. So we can see all the values that we're using. When I hit enter, it should be 2,000 something. Oh, 2,566 bucks. So what does this tell us, Jake? If we were to buy a house for $429,000 and we put a down payment of $85,000, what's our monthly payment? Yeah. If we had a 15-year mortgage, it would be that. Now, what if this is what we do all the time when you go in and buy a house? You're like, oh, I don't know if I can make a $2,500 a month payment. What if it's a 30-year mortgage? Oh, I can make that. I'll pay for 30 years. Okay? So this is, or you know what? I want to kind of save some money, and we're going to get into what the money is later. But, oops, let me do this. So what if it was 20 years? Okay, you know what? That's right in the middle. I'd like to pay my house off faster. I'd like to do that. Now, if you got a 30-year mortgage, though, and you paid the amount of a 15-year mortgage, you'd probably get it paid off much quicker. But you get a better rate for a 15-year mortgage and all this kind of stuff. So these are all things that we look at when we're purchasing a house. But it's good to know. Now, the next question is, if we're paying $2,500 a month, and the interest rate is 4.12%, how much interest did we pay on the house when we paid it off after 15 years? That's a good number to know. Yes, it is. Now, we didn't buy it on a credit card, right? So it's still a good rate. But we can go in here and we can say, all right, let's go ahead and figure this out. For total interest, I'm on page 197. And this is all stuff, really quickly, before we go any further, we don't have to know exactly how to do all of this right now. Okay, once again, like I'm not expecting you to go in and have memorized a payment function. But you do need to realize, like, if I need to calculate a payment, I can use payment and then put in the number of years. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly on my certification exam, I had to divide the term by 12. So it was yearly that they gave me the number, and in the payment function, I had to divide it by 12 to get the monthly payment. I think that was on there. That's probably the most complicated thing that we are doing in here that you have to remember from this piece. But there's different exams, so I don't know if you'll get that, but I'm just letting you know that that was there. So we're going to say in F7, yeah, we're going to say this one equals 12 times the term, and I'm just getting this from the book, times the monthly payment. minus the loan amount. And if we're just to think this out, we're saying we want this number of payments multiplied by 15 times 12. So we know the total amount of money that we're spending, and subtract off how much I borrowed for it originally. So this is a good formula for us to figure out, okay, after I pay off all these, how much extra am I paying? And the answer is, I'm paying an extra $117,000 in interest. And I'm going to go ahead and format paint that one right now so we can see it nicely.
Mine says name.
Then if yours says name, it's because you didn't select the name when you were doing it. So you didn't finish term or monthly payment or loan amount. As you type those in, you have to go down and grab them. So I'll show you right here. If I start typing in monthly payment, you see, if I don't spell it perfectly, it's going to be wrong. So I need to just tap on this right here. Yours is what? Do you have 256613 above? We should all have the same number. Yeah. Ta-da. Yeah. So you got to make sure you have two decimals. Now, without looking at the book, okay? Not looking at the book, how could we figure out what the total cost of the house is for this formula? Jacob. Multiply the interest times the price of the house.
Or you add your total interest.
There you go. Add it. Okay, so we can add it to the total price of the house. Yes. So we could say equals the price of the house, which I'm going to double tap, plus total interest. And I don't know if you noticed that as I was typing in, I always go down and I double tap on the icon so I don't have to type it all out, because that's when you're going to get name. If you don't just double click on it. Enter. So we could see, and once again, I'm going to click on the total interest. I'm going to go up to Format Painter, and then I'm going to click on Total Cost. So the total cost of the house was $546,903.13. This is good information. This is how we make smart financial decisions. Now let me ask you, this same house, over a 30-year mortgage, okay, so you want to cut your payments by $1,000, by a 30-year mortgage, cost, look at that, it went up to $685,000. Same exact house. If we did 20, look at that, $590. So this is how we make good financial choices in life, is if we can actually get to, how many times have you gone in and bought a car and the guy pulls out the little sheet and he's like, look, what payment you're trying to get to? They always do this little thing here. Well, are you looking for a payment? You're looking for a total cost? Like, he finds whatever number and then he makes it that way, but he screws you on all the other ones, okay? Because it's just math. It doesn't matter what you want. Like, if you want a smaller payment, great, we'll just extend the number of payments. Well, what has that done here? It just cost us an extra $100 and some odd $1,000. Same thing on a car, same thing on anything. Yes, you could. Okay, great question. So Mark just asked, could we, listen up, he said, could we put in here a total cost that we wanted to pay? And the answer is yes. What we did yesterday, we could go up into the what if scenario and do a goal seek and say, if I could play with the house term, what would that number need to be in order to equal 500,000 or something like that? And then it will tell us, oh, you need a 21.5 year loan or something like that. It would have to be a what if. My son never calls me. I apologize. Yes, son. What's going on, bud? He only has one key. I paid for the car. So, okay. Okay. All right. I'm getting my daughter a BMW X5. He's got a Honda Del Sol, 1995. I'm getting my daughter a BMW X5 because I love her. So, okay. I got to intimidate all the guys that want to date her. She's rolling in a princess mobile. So, okay.
So you like her better than you like
I didn't say that, but she's my favorite child. So I just okay, let's keep going. All right, so we have a mortgage calculator now. We could do a goal seek on it. That's great. But now what we're going to do is we're going to see, okay, well, we don't have too much time. I'm just going to show you one. Please don't do this to yours because I know we already have some issues. But let's just say we want to change this around. We want to do a condominium. Okay, so it's a condo that the condo is going to cost $185,900. My down payment for the condo. See, once we do this, this is what I'm saying. George could use this at Sprint and have this all just automatically calculate once he does something like this. Let's see here. The condo. Oh, I'm going to put $45,000 down. And the rate for the condo, because it's a condo, is 3.625, and the term is 10. So we can see that if I was to buy this scenario of a condo, it's only going to cost me $1,400 a month. This is my total cost. These are big variations that we can have. But very quickly, instead of doing the math every single time, I now have something really powerful that's giving me a bunch of answers. Now, we could be happy and content just to stay like this, but of course, it's a class. So we're going to go even deeper and deeper into this, which I love to do. So this is one little section of this whole sheet that we're going to build. The next thing we want to do is we want to look at what would the total cost be with different interest rates? Like, what if I could qualify for a better rate? Have we ever tried to qualify for a better rate? You ever gone to the buy a car and they're like, oh, you have great credit or you have horrible credit. Oh, we can get you a car, but it's going to cost you 18%. Or it was the last time we went in and bought a car, we have pretty decent credit, my wife and I, and the guy's like, we heard these people next to us that are, they're arguing about price. And I went in, I said, this is the car I'd like, this is the price I'd like to pay. They pulled our credit, they filled out the paperwork, I said, thank you very much. The person next to me was like, no, I don't want to pay that. I want to, they were arguing all day, but I didn't have to haggle. My credit was good enough that they just gave me what I was looking for because they knew I was going to pay it. And I was like, great. So, you can always negotiate things, and so it's always good to have information on, what would be a good thing to negotiate. So let's go ahead and go just below and type in here in cell C9, varying interest rate schedule. I'm going to just scroll down here a little bit. I've told him to go get a copy of that key made 50 times. Drives me crazy. Love him to death.
They're not your favorite.
I'm going to highlight C9 through F9. And then I'm going to do that merge and center trick again, right here. Merge and center. And I want to format that with a cell style to a title. This is another section of this whole thing. What we're going to put on the far left is rate, monthly payment, total interest, and total cost. I'm going to drag E out here. I don't want anybody to freak out thinking I'm not telling you what I'm doing, but I'm just dragging that out so I can see all the words here. Now, did anybody have fun with the series thing that was going on in the homework? I saw Anthony and I were just working on it. One of the wonderful things about Excel is that if you give it a hint, it guesses at what you want to do. So I'm going to put in C12 3.000%. And then I'm going to do 3.125%. And then I'm going to just go up here. And notice I don't have my, I'm going to bring out my decimal place one so it can look right. And I want to create something all the way, I want to have every variation of, yeah, you have to have two of them, okay? So this is the secret. Series require two because Excel has to see that there's a pattern that could be happening. Now, if you make it 3, that'll work sometimes. I like to just go with 2. But now once we have 3.000 and 3.125%, if I click and I drag, we're going all the way to what? 4.25? I can see that it's telling me down here, if I let go, it's automatically calculating that out.
Can you go back up a little bit? You lost me.
Just right here.
Up once. Oh, okay.
Oops. I was trying to zoom out and I undid. There we go. Did anybody just see what I had here? If you have anything that has a bunch of pound signs, that's just that your display can't display it right now. You can just double click and it will expand it out and make it so you can see it. Yes?
How did you get it to go to the 3.125 again? From the 3.1?
You just click this out. 1. You just click it out 1. Okay, here we go. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to delete all this. If you're trying to get it to populate, you're just going to go 3.000 shift percent. I think it's important we put the percentage in there. Then I'm going to do 3.125 shift percent. Enter. I'm going to use my shift key. I'm going to highlight those two, grab the bottom right, click, and drag down to 4.25. No, you don't hit the shift key when you drag. You're just shift keying to select the 2. Okay, I just want to make sure you hit it. Now you're just going to grab that bottom right. Okay. 4.25. Now I'd highlight them all and bring out your decimal places to 3 decimal places so you can see exactly what we have.
3.2125%, but it gave me 3.13%.
That's because you have, so you have 3.13%. It's because you haven't gone out another decimal place. You need to highlight them all and make it 3 decimal places. You know what? I just realized we haven't saved this yet. We should probably save this. I'm going to Control S this because all I want to hear is a bunch of people freaking out that they lost everything. Yeah, but you have only 4 minutes in between death and non-death.
Yeah, luckily I had to work on it forever. So I saved, and it said auto-save.
Yep. That's what you do.
I'm freaking out.
I'm just calling it Chapter 4 exercise for me. Okay, we're good? So we're going to throw in this varying interest rates. We're going to go ahead and see what it would take to get these to be different here. On D11. Okay, so we go to D11, and we're going to then to deselect. Good. We deselected. Now we want to enter the formulas. Now this is what we're going to call a data table. Okay, so the data table is going to give us a lot of information based upon, so we can look up different rates and things like that as it would go. So with D11 active, we're going to say this equals F6. So this is our monthly payment equals F6 or monthly payment. You can type in either one. So D11 equals, and just click on F6, or you could type F6. No, I'm not format painting yet. Now I'm going to go over the next one. I'm going to say this equals F7. I want it to be F6 because I'm not going to type in the name. There it goes, F6. And this equals F8. So this is based upon our current situation. Now we're going to do a data table. What if this isn't exactly hitting a final number, Mark, but it's going to give us a list of different things once we get this put in of what would be close. We can look at it. So I want to highlight, all the way down from C11 to F22. C11 to F22. You just double tap on whichever column it's in, just double tap right here and it will expand it out. So if this was all hashtags, I just double tap right in between the E and the F and it would pull out for you. All right, so we got this data table. We're going to go into data. We're going to do a what if analysis. And yesterday we used goal seek, but today we're going to use data table. Now, the column input that we want is going to be F4, which is the interest rate. So we want to use this one right here because this is what's going to determine all the other ones. So what we're telling it right now is this is making all of these. So what I want you to do is if you use these numbers instead of that one, what would all those formulas be? When we click OK, whoop, populates everything out. And we are going to just do a comma style on this so we can actually read it. Home and comma style. So this is kind of getting close to what Mark was asking for, which is we could go down and see like, okay, if my goal was $520,000, I would need to find a loan for 3.25% with everything else given the same right now. That's kind of cool that we can just calculate it out really quick. So we don't have to go through and type in every single possible thing. The data table will do it for us in mass. So now we're going to be working on an amortization schedule. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, that's right. Okay, this is going to be awesome sauce. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come up to the top here. We're going to skip one column. We're going to start H and we're going to type in amortization schedule. I'm going to highlight over to L. We're going to do our merge and center trick. We're going to do our cell style to title. Setting up another section in here for this thing. It started in H3, Hotel 3. Now what we're going to do in here is we're going to put our little things on top. So we want year, beginning balance. I'm using tab to go over, by the way. Ending balance, tab, paid on principal, tab, interest paid, tab. And when I hit enter, because I use tab, it'll take me back to the beginning, which is wonderful. Is everybody okay if I actually kind of make everything else disappear except for this amortization schedule we're working on right now? It's okay if I scoot it over and that way we're just focusing on this part? I can see some confused looks. There's lots on the screen. Whenever there's a confused look, I'm here to help. We want to do a series for years. Oh, everybody's still typing. I won't go ahead yet. All right. What? Is that right? Year, beginning balance, ending balance, paid on principal, interest paid. I'm zooming in, sorry. Does that help? Now, when we have BC and AD in years, right? BC and AD. What we need to do is a cosmic calculation to make sure that we have the right terminology. So we're going to do an equals. In order to calculate the year, we're going to do 600 BC divided by the square root. You guys know how to do square root? Okay, you're going to have to do square root AD 320. I'm just messing with you. We're just going to put in 9. So, you guys are like, oh, we're doing it. We're going. So, oh, I love it. I love it. You guys are like in the zone. I like it because everybody's like, I'm here. I'm with you, Mr. Greer. Okay, we're just 1 and 2. We're just going to do a series. Sorry. That was awesome. You should have seen the total level. I wish I had a camera on you because it was like, I got this. Like everybody's just typing like, I'm going to get this one down here. Square root, here we come. We're going to drag this down to 15. Oh, that made my day. Thank you, everybody. So I'm like, they're all paying attention. I can tell because they're like, how am I going to get this? 15. We're doing a 15-year mortgage here. That was awesome. I got to thank you. No, that was awesome. No, I put it back up to 15. Oh, you were trying to correct me. Things that make you go, Oop, there we go. Okay. So for our beginning balance, we're just going to go ahead and say equals. We're going to scroll over here. What's our beginning balance? We start our loan off owing this much. So we're going to take our loan amount. Yeah. And I'm actually going to type it. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Loan amount. I don't care. There we go. Enter. So we've got our loan amount. When we do our ending balance, now, we could do a really complicated process here, and we are. You're not going to have to write this on a certification exam, okay? So I don't want you to freak out going, oh, crap, I need to know this for the exam. I don't believe that you have to write an amortization table and know the if functions. But we are going to use an if function for this because we want to make sure if somebody paid money or not. So the balance, the end of the year balance is equal to the present value of the payments paid over the remaining life of the loan. So this formula is going to be paid, or the ending balance is going to equal this. So we're going to say equals, and this is on page 207 if you want to look in the middle under J5. All the pages scrambled. Equals if H5 is less than or equal to, F5, absolute F5 actually. So absolute F, absolute 5, comma, present value. Remember I told you we're not going to have to know all the present value stuff, but we're going to use it today. The present value of parentheses, absolute F, absolute 4, divided by 12, comma, 12 times absolute value of F, 5, absolute F, absolute 5, minus H5, not absolute. And you know what? I'm so sorry because that's supposed to be in parentheses. So parentheses. I'm working in the command line, or up in the formula bar now. Comma, minus absolute F, absolute 6, in parentheses, comma 0, in parentheses. Oh. All on one line.
Can we enter?
Minus F, absolute 6, in parentheses, comma 0, in parentheses. It's in the book. It's in the middle of the page. It's a long formula. I didn't make it up. It's in there. So, I'm sorry, what? 0. So if H5, what was H5? The year. Okay, so I'm going to explain this formula really quick. So if the year is less than or equal to the number of years of the loan, which is F5 over here, then I want you to give me the present value of so the present value, so what's it going to cost to take the monthly payment times, the rate divided by 12, multiplying that by the payment minus H5, which H5 was the year, so we're taking off the number of years, minus F6, which is the payment amount being made every month, comma 0 if it's not. Okay, so 0 if we've already paid everything. We hit enter, and it gives us our ending balance. So this says in that first year, we paid 12 of these payments. This is the ending balance of the loan that's due. Okay? Now let's see how much of that we paid on principal. That equals I5, this is an easy one, minus J5. Oh, so much better after that last one, huh? Woo. We can fix it in a minute here, Mark. Just don't type in the number. Keep the formula there. I5 minus J5. And then I'm going to do this last one, then I'll come by and help everybody. Finally, the interest paid is going to do another if calculation. If J5 is greater than 0, then I need you to do 12 times F6, 12 times absolute F absolute 6 minus K5, comma 0. So what we've done is we've added up, or we've multiplied the number of payments that we've made that year of this amount, and we've subtracted the difference from paid on principal. So whatever that total is, we've subtracted it from how much we paid on principal, and it's going to tell us how much we paid in interest that year, because we made a total payment of these two numbers put together. So that 2566, if we times it by 12, and you don't need to do this. This is not part of what we're doing, but I'm going to show you. So equals this plus this, and this is why I like Excel. Say this equals, if I can get these two to equal 0, then we know that we're right mathematically. Equals this times 12. Ta-da! So that's what I'm just showing you as a check, like the monthly payments, the 12 times the monthly payments, and these two numbers together equal the same amount. So that's a really quick way, like in Excel, that you can show that you have a good number. Okay, so I have a bunch of confused people who did not get their ending balance to work right. Just you? That's it? Okay, let me go back in. Let's see what we got here. What part of it didn't come through? So it's if H5 is less than or equal to F5, comma PV, F4 divided by 12, 12 times F5 minus H5, comma F6, comma 0. Where is yours? Okay, I think that what you did here, hold on, hit cancel. I just want to grab this right here. Cut. Okay, you want this up here. Let me see if it works. Let's see if we did that right, if it's going to work. Okay, what does it say we have here? Contains an error. Year 1. Where's your payment one? F6.
I put 5 before, and I just I changed it to 6. That would have messed up that. I didn't highlight that. I just changed it to 6. Because I originally put 5 in there. I was like, oh, that's wrong. And I just changed to one number. I don't know if that was.
But that's not highlighting. You know what? Let's. Why isn't it picking up F5 a second time?
Oh no, sorry, that's over here. That's where you want it to be, so just go back.
Here he is. This is our problem right here.
Oh, too many.
Yeah. There it goes. Yeah, now everything's working right. Yeah, you just had one parentheses off. I knew we'd find a user error. All right. So we've got an amortization schedule started. Now, what we want to do to create the rest of this bad boy is on, let me see here, we already did all that, great. We did all that, great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to copy all the amortization schedule formulas, so these three, so J5 through L5, we're going to highlight them, and we're going to drag them down. It's okay if it's not perfect. Why isn't it perfect? Why do we have a bunch of weird things? It's because we don't have a beginning balance. So we're going to go fill that in. But we don't care if the numbers are wrong right now because we're going to get them to be right in a moment here. You're going to go down to, yeah, the 15, whatever that is. 19 is where I'm ending. How to do what? I just grabbed the, okay, I just grabbed this section right here, these three, and then grabbed the bottom right and dragged it down. And we'll fill them all in. Yes, sir.
You didn't do the interest paid. It all has zeros in it. Everything else has numbers in it. Mine all has zeros. I just followed the same formula that was in the book, and it gave me that, but when I dragged them all three down, it didn't fill that row in for some reason.
Are you missing a, I think you're missing a,
If
no,
I5, 12 times F6 minus K5. But it gave me that number, but it didn't give me the rest of them. I don't know why.
I5 is greater than 0, comma 12 times F6 minus K5.
Comma 0. That is 0? Yeah, it's 0.
That's right.
Because it gave me my first number, but it didn't. When I dragged them down, it just gave me all zeros.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have to do is just put this in.
Okay.
We'll be all right here in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we're going to fill in a beginning balance amount. The beginning balance is going to equal the ending balance from before. So I'm just going to say right here, this beginning balance equals the ending balance from before, from year 2, or from year 1, excuse me. I hit enter, and now I drag it all the way down. Yeah, you're just going to say equals the ending balance from the previous year once, and then you go back into that I6 and you drag it down all the way to the end of the 15. Now notice we've ended up with ending balance of 0, interest paid was 0 the last year, you paid off your full amount. Now this is interesting because our entire payment, if we, just as a financial thing, look, the beginning, we only paid half of our money essentially was to interest. At the end, all of our money was to principal. None of it was to interest. This is why it's always really important, like refinancing your house and stuff like that. Like if you add more years on, you're going back to paying mostly on interest, not on principal. And so all these mortgage calculations are built this way so that everything is, all the money the bank is going to make is up front, essentially. That's what they're doing, and they're getting it down so you're paying off the mortgage towards the end. So this is just good to look at. We can know. So we've done that. Now what we want to do is in J20, so J20 just below, we want to type in subtotal and then down payment and then total cost. In L21, what's our down payment? It equals down payment. I'm going to say it equals down payment. What Jacob just said is very important. I see this all the time. So really quick, Fusa Halt. Anybody seen Madagascar? I need everybody's attention. We know the number, okay? And we, by default, oh, I know it's 85,000. I'm going to put it in there. But In Excel, we never want to type in a number if it's already been typed in somewhere else. I'm going to say this probably every day. We want to reference the one place that we typed it in, because then we can go back and change it once and it changes everywhere on the spreadsheet. This is a very hard concept for people sometimes. Yes?
So when you ask that question, when I answer it, I should say,
Sure. Yes. That's the way we want to be thinking. That's exactly how we want to think. We don't want to think it's 85,000. It's D7. That's a great way. Or it's the down payment. Just reference down payment. I can put D7 in, but just like I said before, we're starting to get down here deep. Let's just say I don't have it on my screen. I know that I named down payment. So I can just type in down payment. It goes up there. Look, it highlighted the down payment. I don't have to know what numbers. It could be 5 trillion for all I care. And I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to bring that number down here. If I change the down payment to 35,000, everything on this spreadsheet just changed, including this. Everything changed. And that's the wonderful part of it. So I don't have to do any math once I have the formula set up. I just have to know how to visually put it into the computer so the computer can do the math for me. On the on total cost, let's see here. We're going to type subtotal. We want to do sums on both of these. So on subtotal, let's auto sum the paid on principal. Let's auto sum the interest paid. And then we're going to write a formula for a total cost here, which is all of this added together. So I want to take the subtotal of principal, the subtotal of interest paid, plus our down payment is going to come up with a total cost of $546,225.98.
So we do some for the total cost as well, auto sum? Where's that formula?
That formula is on the top of 212. I'm sorry, Noelle, one more time. What was the question?
For the total cost, the bottom, do we auto sum too?
Well, the problem is AutoSum is going to grab everything above, and it's not going to grab the subtotal because we used AutoSum in there. So Excel's going to say, hey, wait, I already added that up. I don't think he wants that added. We could hit AutoSum and then just click, click, click with a control button. All three of those, if you want to do that, you could do that, yes. There's 10 ways to skin a cat in Excel for different things we're trying to do. All right. I'm trying to see why, if I did something off here, because these two numbers should match, and I've done something wrong. So this is another one of those. I have a total cost minus this total cost, and I'm off by $677.15. That's not right. So I'm trying to see what I did here. Yours says what?
Mine says that my interest rate is 0, I have 677.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to see why this isn't calculating right here. 46, 13. That's so weird. This is the only one that's not calculating right. I don't know why it's not calculating right now. Yeah, because that should have interest paid money right there. Okay, if it's greater than 0, I think it needs to be greater than or equal to, is that right? Oh, okay. Good catch. Thank you. So it's if I, oh, you're right. Okay. So I messed up on my interest paid, just everybody if you know. Thank you for finding that, Mark. It's I, if I5, not J5. And then I'm going to drag that one down. And see how this went to 0? So we know. But that's really good information to know that we can always create a check reference to make sure that numbers match. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit save.
That's always my favorite feeling. When that number matches. Best feeling in the world.
Okay. Now we're going to make it look pretty. You're doing all right? Is it working out? You got rock stars all around you. I like it. Amber's going to pass this cert, I can already tell. She's working hard at this. All right. I'm going to give you an F if you don't get your cert.
Are you serious? Why?
I didn't say that with a smile, did I? Because I'm teaching this class.
Right now, my struggle is just to pass this class.
The struggle is real. That means you have. That means you have all this time to pass a cert. So because Noelle, you complete me.
No.
Okay. So let's go ahead and highlight mortgage payment calculator, this whole section here. We're going to go ahead and throw a border around it. Oh, that's funny. I did it differently. Here we go. We aren't going to have the mortgage payment calculator part, but we're going to highlight everything else. This right here. So leave the title out. I've highlighted all of that. I'm going to right mouse click and go down to Format Cells. Under Format Cells, I want to do the border. Now, we are going to make a blue line. So I'm going to say, first off, I want it to be blue, accent 2. That's one of the harder parts of the test, I got to be honest with you, is when they ask you for a specific color, just hunting for the color. Yeah, you have to like go through and like wait till it pops up. But a good tip is if you start up on top and you find blue accent 2, then you know lighter 25 and everything's going to be directly below. So as you're taking the certification, I would just keep with the top colors. Or if they say green, these are usually just the solid colors down here. So these are going to be the blue accent 2, then drop down and see what it is and stuff like that. So we're going to say blue. I'm going to highlight this heavier line right here. And then instead of going through the whole thing, I'm just going to click outline. So it's put it all the way on the outside. And then I'm going to get a skinnier line now, this one right here. And I'm going to just vertically, now you got to be careful because you don't want to click in the middle. You want to click right, like I like to be above or below the middle of it. But it goes right here. So now I have a vertical line, which means it's going to put a box around it. And then anything that has a column is going to put a line in between. Click OK. And there it is. So, we're starting to make it look pretty. I like it. It's kind of nice, kind of neat. Woo, woo. It's going to get better than that. Let's do that down here. Same thing. So right mouse click, format. Got to change the color again. I'm going to go ahead and grab the bold line, grab the skinnier line, do the vertical. Click OK. This one's a little different though because we do have titles. So on the titles, I'm just going to go up here after I've done the whole piece. I'm just going to select the titles. Right mouse click, format, cells. And on the bottom one, I'm going to click that skinny line again. And notice how the bottom isn't lit up. I'm just going to do that. Just click on the bottom. What? Okay, here we go. So right mouse click, format cells. Notice how the bottom of this one doesn't have anything on it right here. I'm just going to click on that. It's going to add the line to the bottom. And I've got my skinny line. And now you can see that we've got a small little line right here that matches the interior lines. Now the cool part is when I print this, I'm not going to see any of these gray lines going across. I'm only going to see these blue lines. Now, we're probably going to get to this some other time, but there is a function that I love to do, a formatting thing, where we alter the color of each line. So there's a little gray behind every other line, and that's really nice for big, long spreadsheets where you can kind of follow the line across to see what's going on in the row. Let's write justify these. We didn't do that yet. I'm going to just write justify the text in those boxes. Your line didn't happen? It's like when I use my makeup pen. Oh, you're just trying to get my step count in. Okay. I like that. You're looking out for my health, Amy. Thank you. All right, same thing up here. We're going to go ahead and go around this whole thing. Right mouse click, format cells, thick line, make it blue, click outline. We want to put the verticals in with the skinnier line. Click OK. Boom. But we want to do the same thing on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to center this one. So I'm going to center justify, right mouse click and format cells, skinny one, click right there. And at the bottom, I'm going to put one more line down here, format cells on the top. Looking good. Hashtag fail.
Mine looks like that.
Yeah, Amy! Oh, I care about you.
She's just hating.
Holla back. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to do something called conditional formatting. Okay? What is conditional formatting? Well, what's unconditional love? It means no matter what. Conditional love is what my wife has for me. I'm just kidding. No, it's whether or not I have a paycheck or I take her on a date. No, I love her to death. So what we're going to do is we're going to conditionally format based upon a condition or a set thing. We're going to highlight a specific cell. So what I want to do is we're going to highlight all the way down here. Whoops, on this left side. Let's just get C11 to C22. And we're going to create a conditional format, which is up here on the right. And what we want to do is we want to highlight a specific cell. We want to highlight something that is equal to, so you see where I've gone for this before I go to my next one? Yep. Equal to, now right now it says 3.625, but that's not what I want. I want it to be equal to whatever is in F4. Okay, because that's going to give me a quick reference to see exactly what. Henry, come on in. Open the door. Who's this?
This is Junior. He's looking into business.
Junior, these are your people. These are the business students. Hey, Junior. We're just learning Microsoft Excel right now. Got them a little intimidated. So this is.
So you guys are taking the same class at night.
Yeah. It's a struggle. Hey, I'm recording it all on YouTube. So Junior, you're on YouTube from here on out. Okay. So you're there. Welcome. All right.
I was not the only one struggling.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click, once we put F4, we're going to click OK. And now it says, whatever is in this cell, I want you to highlight with red and black text down here. Did it work?
Yeah.
I knew it would work. That's great. So if I go up to there and I say, oh, you know what? I want this to be 3.250. It automatically changes below. It's kind of cool. So it'll show us really quick, oh, this is the group that you're looking for. All right. So we've just started making this perfect. Now, in the textbook, it says to go through and start entering in a bunch of different, like we're going to do a bunch of different calculations right now for like land and a condo. We're going to skip all that because we only got 20 minutes and we got to get through locking and protecting. When we are going to print, what we can do when we print something, oh, you know what? We didn't do the outer one. I don't know how we missed that. We want to put one box around this entire thing. So I'm going to B2 to M2. And then all the way down to, or to M23, I'm sorry. B2 to M23. I'm going to right mouse click and say Format Cells. I'm going to pick a thick green line. So I'm just go ahead and pick green down here. And I'm going to do an outline again. And then when I click OK, I need to make M 0.92 so it looks right here. And now I've got, if you see this when I zoom out, see I've got a whole little box around. This looks pretty. It looks prettier. Hercules. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, what if we only want to print certain sections? We can do that. We can set print areas. Okay? When we do this, what we're going to do is we're going to grab mortgage payment calculator. So I'm going to grab this whole little section right here. See this? I clicked on the top cell and I dragged down, grabbed all of it. I'm going to go to page layout and I want to set a print area. So I'm going to say set the print area, and it's done it.
Wait, one more time. This, go to page layout. And then you said,
Print area, set print area.
oh, okay.
I'm going to do the same thing down here. Set print area. Or add, no, we're going to set the print area. So we can like set one section, right? So if I'm going to print this, all I want you to do is print this area. Set the print area.
Can you do the whole print stuff? Because I got lost.
All right, I'm still doing it.
Somebody lost me.
All right, what we're going to do is if we want to set not to print the entire sheet, but a specific area,
Yeah.
we are going to highlight mortgage payment calculator down to the total cost area. We're going to set the print area. Then if I hit Control P for print, it comes up. Now, if we look at this, I want to print active sheets, right? Well, the reason it's active is because this is what we've selected. We've actually set the print area for the, so we can print the selection. But if we notice that it still says a sheet, but we've set a print area, so it doesn't matter that we have this sheet selected, it's only going to print. We might not want to give our customer all that other information. That's for us. We're using that in the sales pitch. But this is the information they need to know. So we can print that out. We can zoom in and make it bigger. So just so you know, we could scale. We could say, you know, fit onto one page. We're going to have to zoom. So I'm going to do a custom scaling here. And then I'm going to say, you know what, I want to make it bigger than that. And I want to make it landscape because I'm going to give it to them in a really big sheet. Let's just see how this works. Ta-da, you know, something like that. You know, we can print it out however we want to give it to them. We could center this, but this would be a good handout to give to your client, saying, "Here you go." All right, so we did what? I went down to custom scaling, and then custom scaling options, and then in this adjust to. I just zoomed it into 185, so I could probably go to like 200. Click OK. Yeah. And then if I really wanted to be good, because we talked about this yesterday, we would go into custom margins and we would say center it horizontally. Oh, because that would make me feel happy. I like that. I like that a lot. Good. We got that? Because we got to protect the worksheet. This is the hard part. And we got 13 minutes. Let me explain what we're trying to do here. We just went through and made this perfect worksheet. The problem is when Elizabeth comes in and we give it to Elizabeth and she starts typing in numbers over here, it's going to screw up everything. And we're like, no, no, no. I just spent 2 hours in class building this worksheet. It's going to be set, okay? No one's going to ruin it for the future. So what we can do is we can actually lock or protect most of the worksheet so that it cannot be changed, and we can only allow someone to change 4 cells. So the 4 cells that we want to keep is what type of item? Do we want to protect the date? Yeah, because it says now, so nobody could ever lie and say they did it earlier. Okay, so we want to protect that. That means, hey, it's locked down. So we'll always know the date somebody ran it. We'll always, they can maybe change these 2 things, but we want the loan amount to calculate based off of those. We don't want an employee to give us a fake loan amount. What if they tried to do more loan to value or something like that? And we want to keep the term or the rate. What do they tell us to keep? They want us to keep the rate and the term. So we want to be able to change those 2 things, and everything else is going to auto-calculate. So what we're going to do in order to do that is we need to click on D5 through 7. Okay. And then using the control key, you have to hold down the control key, we need to do F4 and F5. So we have those highlighted. Are we right here? Because this gets very complicated if you screw this part up. Don't go any further.
Okay, so now we.
So you highlight the first section, you hold down the control button, and then you click and drag on the other one, then you let go of all the buttons, and this should be exactly what it looks like.
Nope. It keeps them going away.
Look, just click on D5 through D7. Then you have to hold the control key and go click on F4 to F5. Click and drag down.
Okay.
Now you have those, right? We're all there? We're going to right mouse click on them. Got to be on one of those cells where the highlighted section. We're going to go down to Format Cells. Over on the far right, it says Protection. This is like a mob bracket. You have to be clicked on the cells that we highlighted. If you're not on those, it'll undo what we just did. Where it says Locked, undo that. And click OK. Okay? It's the toughest part so far. As long as you got that right, the rest of this is going to work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Review. And we want to protect the sheet. When we click Protect the Sheet, it says Select Locked Cells, meaning everything that's locked is going to be locked. What did we just do with those 5 cells? We unlocked them. Okay? So it's going to lock everything else on this spreadsheet, and it's going to lock it down. Now we can type in a password. I'm not going to. You could type in a password like Greer Rocks 1, whatever you want to do. But when I click OK, now if I come down here, notice I can't do anything. It says it's protected. You have to unprotect it. But I can come up here and say, okay, I want to change this to a 13-year mortgage. Oh, and it recalculated. And I want this to be a condo for $150,000, and I have an $85,000 payment. Boom, here you go. It keeps everything functioning perfect, but the only things that we can change are the variables that we should be able to put in. Is that all right? Did it work? Myra, are you okay?
Which ones did we lock again?
I'm sorry?
Which ones did we lock?
We unlocked these 5, and then we locked everything else. Things that make you go, Okay. Another thing to do here. We can actually hide spreadsheets. So right now we only have one spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and put down there what it's called. Let's rename this to Mortgage Payment Calculator. I'm trying to come up with a good reason you want to hide something outside of the fact that it's protected. Like if you're sending an Excel file over to someone, I'm trying to imagine why you would hide it. Especially if it's protected. But we're going to have to add, you can't hide without adding another sheet. So you need to have at least 2 things in here. But I can click, right mouse click on this and say hide. And now down here at the bottom, I don't see it. And you're like, oh no, I just deleted it. No, we didn't delete it. If we just right mouse click on the bottom again, or I'm sorry, on the sheet, we can say unhide. And it will say, here's all the sheets that are hidden. Do you want to unhide it? Yes, and poof, it comes back. So we can't hide things from people. It's good to know. A little advanced Excel trick. that I've used a million times in my career is that if you are producing a document that's going to be printed, and you're going to do it multiple times, and you want to have some quick numbers like this that you don't want visible, you just want all of this information, and so you want to say, oh, here's your amortization schedule, and you don't want this, but you've done it so like it's up here. I've done this so many times. I just make the text white, okay? Because a printer can't print white, okay? It's not going to print white, so whenever you hit print, all the data is still there, so you can go see all the numbers really quick. That's just an advanced Excel thing that I've done a million times in my life, is using white text to hide things that you're doing. Now, we can also do background formula checking, and this is just a little feature in options. So you can go down to options, file, and then options, and under formulas, the book is asking us to say formulas referring to empty cells. Check on that in the background. So if we have a formula that refers to that, it'll give us a warning saying this is wrong. Then you click OK. That was for checking. We can add things to have it check more of.